Well, good morning, good morning. We are gathering with coffee with Casper. Here comes the Casp. Come on all the way up, big boy, that boy. There you go. How he finds mud in my yard, I don't know, but he found it and then got it already on my pants. That's how you roll. He's a busy boy, this 2.5-year-old. 2.5-year-old, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah. He's 2.5 already, Casper, growing fast. Good morning, good morning. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. We're getting ready for coffee with Casper. You can have your beverage if you choose, and we got our company, and we're just looking for a way to heal, uplift, and inspire, and bring forth more life in your life, in my life, and the lives of all of those we touch. And so it is. Let me know where you are. Somebody's loving me up. Don't know where you are yet. We'll see you. It's 8:30 in about a minute. Yeah, there's a handsome boy. He's a boy. He's a very nice guy, this Casper dog. We are glad you are here this morning. Check in on Facebook. We're up on Facebook. I see that. I'm looking to see where you're checking in from, and we're going to gong ourselves in about 30 seconds. Yay. Dave, all right, from Idaho, from Indiana, the toll road. You're on a road trip. All right, we're glad you're here this morning. Good to see you. Hello from Texas. All right, good to see you. Hope it's cooling off a little there. It's getting warmer here in SoCal. Of course, we got a little less humidity than you guys got in Texas. There we go. Good morning, good morning. Here we go. We're going to get ready to gong ourselves in. There it is, 8:30. We're happy to have you with us this morning. Let's everybody get ready to relax and take a big deep breath. Let out the sound ah. Ah. Relax your shoulders. One more time, big deep breath in. Allow the breath to rise up into your heart center. Let out the sound ah. Ah. And just become comfortable and pleasant. And let's settle in for this next 20 minutes. Hello from Albuquerque. Good morning from Palm Desert. We're checking in from all over. We're glad to see you this morning. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. You're watching Coffee with Casper. And we gather here every week. Of course, it's on YouTube and Facebook 24/7 anytime you want. But we're gathering at 8:30 Pacific time here in the great outdoors whenever possible. And good morning, good morning. Nice to see you. Let me know where you're checking in from. We're glad to hear you. And the whole purpose of our gathering is to take what we already know. We are considering ourselves a body, a group of light workers. And what we're trying to do is take this knowledge that we've learned and deepen it in our soul, deepen it in our character so that the events of the world don't throw us off center. Because when we are centered and being an avenue through which more light, more love, more joy, more wisdom, more peace, more kindness flows into the world, every ripple that comes from our vibration that is positive is helping those around us to create positive change in their life. And as we know, change is inevitable and growth is optional. And here we are, at least I can say for myself as a what I would now say is a wisdom teacher. I'm glad that my good morning, Doris, from wherever you're checking in from, we're glad to see you this morning. I have been very consistent. I was brought into the awareness of a new way of perceiving things when I was 20 years old. I had had an inborn, innate sense of all of this, and of course when you go through your teenage years you have to integrate your deeper nature with your maturing nature, and it takes a little time to integrate those things to allow yourself to be a place of wisdom in the world. Not only a place of wisdom from Laguna Hills, nice to see you this morning, not only a place of wisdom for yourself, but a place of wisdom when we come to our fundamental awareness, which there's only one energy. Energy and matter are equal and interchangeable. Therefore, there's only one energy. Therefore, there's only one intelligence. That intelligence is the center, the source, the circumference of all things. Heretofore, throughout religiosity, we have called it God and named various avatars and saints and sages and mystics as the pathway to God. And what we now know is a more accurate term is energy. And you can take that fullness of energy, which is energy and matter, which is the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. All things are that. And you can take that energy and make it personal to you, just like we call that energy Father, Mother, God, for those people who like the personal relationship with the One. Everybody has that personal relationship with the One, and it is only as we truly connect to that that we become clearer and more secure in our world. So here's what we know is, I am that. Whatever that which energy and source is, I am that. And if I'm in its nature, what spirit thinks about, contemplates, and knows becomes experience. What you and I, through the law of the circle, think about, contemplate, and know becomes our experience, right? So it is very, very valuable to work on everything that's happening in your own awareness. The word we use for that is consciousness, and consciousness is the sum total of everything you've ever thought, said, done, or felt. And that consciousness, which is the sum total of who you are, actually goes in front of you, because you are living today the consciousness that you had yesterday, and now we are creating a new consciousness to bring forth what can unfold in our tomorrows. And gradually that consciousness becomes habit, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Good morning from North Carolina. Good to see you this morning. So in 2017, originally 2014, I copyrighted this book. It's called Obvious Power, and it's the secret of habits and attitudes. It's available at DeVore's Publishing. It's probably still available on Amazon. You can also get it on my website at newthought.com if you're interested. But what I talk about in this book, and the thesis that I put forward in this book, is that there's a difference between habits and attitudes. And as we all know, you and I, that when we have habits, those habits become, we think a thought, we repeat the thought, we take an action toward the thought, and the more we repeat that thought and take that action, sooner or later that sets into our system as a habit. So for example, not all people drink coffee. We understand coffee with Casper means grab your beverage of choice and let's hang out together. But I have enjoyed coffee for many, many years. Because of that, it's become a habit. And when I don't have coffee in the morning, my system is fine, but my mind is still looking for a cup of coffee because I've embedded that as a habit. Fortunately, that's not such a terrible habit. And I only like it in the morning. So that's just how that habit works in my life. But I was the one that set the tone for that habit. My wife and I have been together for a lot of years, and we prefer the bed to be made when we get out of bed. So we are in the habit of making our bed. It's very unusual to walk into a room and the bed is not made, because both of us have that same habit. It was a thought, repeated over again, followed by an action. Thought followed by action creates a habit. And habits are, in fact, an effect. They come out as a result of the repetition of thought. So let's look back now and see how this could be beneficial for us in our life. Today's theme is attitude is everything. And this book, I wrote a whole book about the obvious power of that which is in front of every human being, habits and attitudes. But habits are what we do after we've already done the action. So habits become an effect. And until we look at the effect and see that we might have a quote-unquote bad habit, then we have to look and reprogram ourselves by the means of repetition of thought. If we have a good habit, the more good habits we have, the better off we are. Here in Topanga, we don't use insecticides. Here in the mountains of the Santa Monica Mountains, at our house, we don't use insecticides. So in the summer season, we have ants like you can't believe. So it becomes critical that if you don't want to use chemicals, that you make sure you clean up minutes after you do anything in the kitchen or anything to do with anything sweet or sugar or food source or anything, because the ants will come instantly. So because of that, we lived here in this house 17 years. Because of that, when we get into the summer season, we're very habitual about keeping the kitchen clean so we don't have an ant issue. Those are what we call good habits. So habits can be good and habits can be bad, but the more good habits you have, the easier things become for you, because it's your habit to do it that way. And it doesn't become a burden, you're just used to it. Once you've programmed your own consciousness into a habit, it takes place automatically. It is nothing you really worry about. You just take care of whatever that habit is, you do it. You make the bed, you clean the kitchen, you make the coffee, whatever that habit is. But an attitude is how you receive things. And this is the thesis of the book. That attitude is everything, because the disposition I have about how I receive input is my attitude. Now here's what we know. This is what we know as a fact already. Psychology, health professionals, everyone who talks about optimists say that optimists have better health, they have less stress, they live longer. So we already know a positive attitude has a beneficial effect on your being. And we can have attitudes on many different subjects. What is my attitude about relationship? The right and perfect people come into my life all the time. Some people come for a short while, some people come for a longer time, and love stays the same. And love does not have to die, and it does change form. That's the nature of life itself. Everything is constantly changing. So our attitudes about the input that's coming to us, right, are very important. When we look at scary things in the world, our attitude is to know that I am divinely protected, to know that that life that I am living through the law of the circle, what's coming from me is returning to me. Good and more good is mine. Love and more love is mine. Joy and more joy is mine. There's no limit to the goodness of the universe that I can make room for in my consciousness. Now, the world right now is, as we know, a part of the world is in war, which seems to be based in aggression, violence, selfishness, aggression, greed, anger, violence. These paradigms are no longer serving humanity, and we will not be able to advance as quickly as a culture, as a world culture, until we all begin to put aside those things and look at the unity of all life and function from the understanding that every soul that is alive on this planet is an I am presence. The divine itself, substance source, has named them. Good morning from Florida. Substance itself, source itself, has named them valuable. So we have to adjust ourselves. We have to rid ourselves of prejudices, of doubts, of believing that my good is limited and your good is in my way, that there's room in this house for all. Each one is already blessed. Everyone can attract their own good. And when we go up into the I am consciousness and everybody sees each other as equal and valuable and already ordained by the Most High as a gift to the cosmos, everybody. When we begin to have that kind of attitude, it makes more room in ourselves to find compassion, to find kindness, to find love, and to work on those animal parts of us that still would come into rage, that would still be willing to move into violence. There's nothing wrong with protecting yourself, but aggression is not necessary in a world that works for everybody. But you have to go upstairs. The I am that I am is the same I am that you are, And we are each the unique variation of that, and therefore essential in the universe. That doesn't mean people don't have bad habits. It doesn't mean people aren't making bad choices. But it doesn't mean who they are isn't already ordained as whole, complete, and perfect. And it is their choice. Each individual must choose to find that divinity within ourselves, to find the way to contact that intuitive self. So here we go. Ernest Holmes, the wonderful philosopher from the last century, the author of the book The Science of Mind and many others, talks about intuition as the voice of God within the human being. Now, if everybody has the voice of God, then, or the voice of source within them, then, and that source is guiding them, that source would never do anything that didn't harmonize with itself. So when we begin to have a mass humanity that daily meditates on their true and eternal nature, this what we call the I am consciousness, which through religiosity has been called the Christ consciousness, the Buddha awareness, the neshama, the nafsha. It comes from many different, the Hindu word. There are so many ways to describe this I am, this Atman, this true nature of myself, but it doesn't come to us through simply living in the physical universe. I begin and end at my head and toes, and everything's happening within my own chemical reality, and that's reality. And that's simply not true, because the life force within you, you did not create. You discovered it. Now, when you discover that that life force is the same life force in everybody else, and when you begin to practice honoring that, then we begin to see that we are attracting and harmonizing and synchronizing and bringing good and more good into our lives, and the good that comes into those around us, when their lives get better, our lives get better. Your good is my good is your good. Wherever I see the good, I honor the good. Somebody just won $1 billion or more over the lottery. We don't know who the person is. And they would say, oh, I wish it was me. Well, that's a huge instantaneous shift, right? When all of a sudden you have a whole new set of challenges than you had the day before, right? And we say, oh, I wish that had happened to me. Whoever that person is, he or she, their good is their good. It doesn't affect our good. So bless. Somebody was supposed to go through that shocking change of life, and bless them, and may they be guided, guarded, protected, and directed to make the choices that bring forth more life with all of that good, not only for themselves, but for everybody who's touched by the arena of their experience. And this is true for all of us. We are all billionaires of some kind. We have some kind of great gift, some kind of gift of love that's coming through our lives, that's causing things to work for us, because we've adjusted our attitude, because we're expecting a greater good, because we're expecting the right people to come into our lives, because we're expecting synchronicity to reveal more energy than we've ever seen before. We're expecting this good. We're working on our attitude every day. We're honoring through praise and thanksgiving. It's an attitude of thanksgiving, an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of praise, an attitude of honoring, an attitude of love, an attitude of deep connection. All of these attitudes that we establish within ourselves. What am I open to receive? What am I open to experience? What am I willing to allow to have happen in my life, right? These are the great goods that are happening. Good morning, good morning. I'm Harry Morgan Moses. You're watching Coffee with Casper. We're here every week talking to light workers, people who know they are one with the one and are simply seeking to draw that unity of life, that gift of life that is the very center of your being, to draw it forth into your conscious awareness, so that every flower you see, every animal you interact with, every person you encounter becomes an activity of the divine. Every time you wake up in your own glorious bed, in your own glorious environment, which you have created for yourself, that you're filled with praise and thanksgiving for the gift of a brand new day. These are attitudes. I establish my own attitude. Therefore, when things come to me, when the input of life comes to me, it's coming to me through my attitude. My attitude of expectation, my attitude of gratitude, my attitude of love, my attitude of compassion, my attitude of care. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And you know in your own life where you would like to shift it. What is your attitude? How are you about your good? How much good do you have room for in your life? How are you about the fact that every time you faced a crisis, somehow you made it through? So there is something guiding you, guarding you, protecting you. How are you about inviting that energy? That which I am is guiding, guarding, protecting, directing me, and leading me into the paths of perfect right action. And this is what's happening in our time right now. What has been called, what the psalmist called the still small voice. Listen and follow the still small voice. That's the voice of intuition, the voice of God within the human being. It's the voice of your true self, your I am presence, guiding, guarding, protecting, directing you, leading you into the paths of perfect right action. And that presence is there for us. And what is our attitude for it? Are you willing to make room for the fact that God has already ordained you as the Christ, the Atman, the Buddha, the high self, the realized one, the actualized being? That which is your spirit, your soul, and your body are integrated into the life that you are living right now. I am not just a body. I am here with my soul, and my soul is present with God or Source, and I am living from that place. Source, guiding, guarding, protecting, directing, leading me, because I'm listening to that voice. I'm asking the still small voice to get louder. And it is getting louder. It's getting louder for everyone. And now, the question is, now that you can hear it better, now that you can ask it for direction and guidance, how are you doing with it? Are you asking? Is your attitude expecting that? Oh, Casper wants to come up and say hi again. Is your attitude expecting that greater good? Is your attitude attracting? Are you creating the law of attraction using the law of the circle? That which comes from me is returning to me. Am I using it to my highest and best ability? If you're enjoying this, share it. This is Coffee with Casper. I'm Harry Morgan Moses, and already our 20 minutes is up. Let's establish the attitudes that make us an attractor factor to all the good that we desire. That so much of that good comes to us that it overflows through us and touches and heals and uplifts those around us. All of this is possible because you are already that spiritual magnificence. You are already that self. Until we meet again, I invite you to go in the light, as the light, and with the light. May the long-time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. We'll see you next week on Coffee with Casper. Come on up, Casper. One more time. Where'd you go? Come on up. Say goodbye to everybody. Come on. Come on. Attaboy. Say goodbye.